It's New Year, so let's have a roundup of all that's going on. And there's two massive blockbusters in this video. Well, you heard it here first. I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. We have to open with EV sales. What a record-breaking year 2023 turned out to be. BYD overtake Tesla seemed to grab the headlines, but that's a bit like saying McDonald's sells more cups of coffee than Starbucks or Costa. Yeah, nice headline, but a bit irrelevant. It's a totally different market. The bigger headline would be who makes the most profit. BYD now sell more than a quarter of all the EVs in China, and that's a magnificent achievement. But it's no help to us in the UK. What we want is the cheaper cars over here and now, but unfortunately that is progressing much slower. MG, owned by SAIC, the Shanghai Automotive Industries in China, takes the title as the fastest growing Chinese EV manufacturer supplying the UK. Great Wall Motors, who make the funky Aura, and BYD did little other than make an entrance. But the signs are really good for the UK for 2024, as others are lined up. And the new joint venture factories are also opening up, starting with BYD in Hungary. Europe and the UK are now seen as a target as there is excess capacity in the home markets as the Chinese economy slows. But don't forget that slow growth in China is still around 5%. That's a disaster for them, but most other European economies would kill for that growth rate. Most are hovering around recession, and the average is less than 1% growth. Well, BYD operates in a totally different market. Its top-selling model in China sells for about $11,000, and most of the top 10 are all micro-budget EVs, many of which are not legal or even wanted by us in the West. But further up the range, there are a huge number of models that we are interested in, and many of these have been secretly tested in Australia recently. Well, why Australia? Well, first, proximity. It's much quicker and easier, relatively cheaper to export there. But it's also a right-hand drive country, so an ideal testbed for the big market, the UK. And yes, the UK is still a very big market and a target for all automakers. Well, Tesla just released their Q4 figures. Well, for all you Tesla haters and doubters, Tesla's exceeded all expectations, even their own. They achieved a total of 1.808 million deliveries. This is not deliveries to dealers like Ford and VW do, but actual sales of delivered and paid for EVs. Tesla also still takes the title for the biggest and most profitable EV-only maker in the world. Final results will be released on 24th of January, but market expectations are high and share price predictions are already changing upwards. Its Model Y was also confirmed as taking the title of the world's best-selling car. Not the best-selling EV, but the best-selling car powered by any fuel in 2023. And don't forget, Tesla achieved a cash-in-the-bank profit of over $20 billion, with virtually no debt at all. By the way, Ford has a debt of around $130 billion. Tesla has $4 billion. They could pay that off any time they choose. VW, in the meantime, has a debt of over $200 billion and is negotiating laying off 112,000 workers and shutting down EV plants they only recently built and opened. Its recent EV launches have fallen rather flat, and the best way they see of beating that is to stop making rubbish EVs and close down the factories and lay off over 100,000 workers. Doesn't seem a good plan to me. So to summarise, the EV world is booming and on an exponential growth curve, achieving around 36% growth year on year. This train is not stopping. Yes, the legacy auto came a cropper, but I predicted that many months ago. Did they really believe their customers would be so loyal as to buy in huge numbers cars like an Astra EV at £40,000 when the petrol equivalent in exactly the same body and the seats and the trim sold for just £23,000? Or did Ford believe the Mustang Mach-E, starting at £50,000 but going up to $75,000, would take over from the $23,000 petrol Mustang or the $45,000 5-litre V8 10-speed? Legacy really needs to get back to what built their empires: desirable, affordable, budget and family cars for the mass market. Or breaking news, my 2024 prediction video, that's well worth watching, claimed Robotaxis will make an appearance this year, and Rimac are the first off the block, confirming this. For those who don't know, they are the manufacturers of the Nevera, a 1,877 brake horsepower electric hypercar, and the parent of Bugatti, who make the multi-million-pound Veyron and Chiron. Well, they're based in Croatia and have just announced they will launch a highly autonomous robotaxi this year and be in full commercial use by 2026. I bet there's an awful lot of others now really keen to beat them. Apple seem to have employed all the available EV software engineers from around the world with experience of full self-driving, but negotiations to find a manufacturing partner, probably going to be based in China, they're not going too well. They've now announced that there's not much happening before 2026. Could be to throw us off the scent, but I happen to think that's probably realistic. But maybe this will spur others into action. Amazon, they're also still plodding away. They now obviously have some experience with the arrival of increasing numbers of Rivian EV vans to the fleet in America, and these will be several generations ahead of the transits we see in the UK, which are just Ford Transits, with batteries instead of a fuel tank and electric motor instead of a diesel. Well, Rivian will be supplying Amazon with a totally different level of technology. And for Amazon, they have a new target. They really, really would like a totally driverless delivery system. That's got to be right at the top of their must-have list. Now, pair that with a robot to carry the parcels from the van to the door, knock on the door and hand them over, and you've got a world-beating combination. Don't you think it's a shame that Elon and Jeff Bezos are not best of mates? Jeff could really do with the Optimus robot that Elon already has up and working. Well, maybe they just need a let's get together and make up and become BFFs meeting. But even if they did, would Elon even help out? Way under the radar, the Boring Company is set to create a seismic shift in London. Tesla's Boring Company in Las Vegas is proving to be anything but boring. From a seemingly stupid idea, tunnel under the city to avoid traffic, it's now a reality and doing great things. The stats are simply amazing. Las Vegas is not the most traffic-free city in America. Traffic queues are the norm, horrendous ones. The loop he's now built now offers 4.9-mile trips taking 5 minutes and 7.7 miles taking 8 minutes. That's an average speed of just shy of 60 miles an hour across Las Vegas. Well, in fact, anywhere, even not in the cities. 60 mile an hour average speed is amazing. But Elon currently uses Model X cars, which can only hold 6 paying passengers plus the driver. Well, that's at present. Look at those taxi fares, though. 4.9 miles, $10. 7.7 miles, $12. And that's with paying a driver. Now, he's already working on 2 improvements. Well, first he wants to lose the driver. It's not unusual. Docklands Light Railway in London is already driverless here in the UK. Well, in Las Vegas, the loop, that could happen anytime soon. He has already applied, and it's a very safe process. The cars or vehicles are inside a tunnel. Well, next, he's designing a bus. This will have 10 to 20 seats and be totally driverless. Now, use your own imagination and calculate for yourself how much the taxi fare would be for a 7.7 mile journey that currently costs $12 with a driver and no more than 6 passengers. And then, as a direct comparison, I show here a table of taxi fares in and around London. Wow, 6 miles over £30. £30. Yeah, not $10. And the taxi from Heathrow to central London is 21 miles and costs between £47 and £70 depending on the time of day. Do I really need to say any more? Now I've just had a thought. On the Boring Company site, they claim that the new drill can cover 1 mile in a week. They claim it's slower than the snail, which it might well be. But here's my thought. We started HS2 way back in 2009, and it was originally going to cost £37 billion. In 2020, that was revealed to be over £100 billion, and in 2023, it's pretty much stopped, almost cancelled, although they're not admitting it. Now, here's a thought. It's only 200 miles from London to Manchester. And this boring machine, it can cover 1 mile in a week. So 200 weeks. Now hang on, let me do that. Back of the fag packet calculation, that is 200 weeks is 4 years. Wow. So the HS2 project has been going now for, 18 years, 17 years? And we haven't got there. Elon could have drilled from London to Manchester a single tunnel right the way up for within 4 years. Now, I know it's not a train, but if he puts his special cars in there and he speeds them up a bit to 100 mile an hour, you can now do a total journey from London up to Manchester, 2 hours, non-stop, in total comfort. Whoa. I wonder if he actually contacted the government. Well, it's not too late. We've all but stopped it. It's going to take probably another 10 years to finish the bit of the HS2 that we have agreed to finish. But if that stops at Birmingham now, it's only 100 miles from Birmingham to Manchester. Get Elon in, get his boring machine in, dig a single tunnel or 2 tunnels even, parallel, one up, one down, and all of a sudden you've got your HS2, but sitting inside a driverless Tesla instead of sitting inside a drivered train. Worth some thought. Now that brings me back to from the tunnels onto robotaxis. Take the bus from the loop, turn it into a van. I suspect it's already designed as a simple chassis, complete with batteries, motors, steering, brakes and everything you need, and you just drop on top of it the body that you want, a bus or a van, or how about a fully equipped RV or motorhome, as we call them over here. So, the next use might be a specific target for parcel delivery service. Oh, that'll shove one up Jeff Bezos's rocket, which never took off. Well, for now, take the Model X, take out the seats, put in an Optimus robot, but not for driving. Load it full of parcels, drive autonomously to the delivery address, and Optimum hops out and does the final 10-yard delivery, passing the parcel into the hands of the owner. Is that news? Well, EV charging around the world is booming, having received a boost from many governments in the form of subsidies, tax breaks and grants. But also on top of that, it's receiving large investments from green funds, investment banks. So I think we need to see why they're doing this. You see, it doesn't seem to make sense when almost all governments have huge car manufacturing plants, employing hundreds of thousands of workers and supporting a healthy secondary industry, tyres, exhaust, accessory shops. And on top of that, the fossil fuel industries employ equally large numbers and contribute massive tax revenue. Nowhere near enough for the profits they make, but large revenues nonetheless. Well, think for the moment, what is the primary role of any government? Not dictators or dictatorships, but governments for the people. It is the safety and security of its people, full stop. Well, secondary is a thriving economy, housing, infrastructure, etc. Now, without getting into any argument with the doubters, all governments on the planet now see climate change as a serious threat to its infrastructure and its people in the very near future, and see a much more serious and immediate deadly threat, airborne pollution, which in almost all civilized countries exceeds the maximum permitted levels for a long, safe and healthy life. Well, let's have the who caused it and who's now to blame and who's the biggest polluter argument at a later date. We cannot go on like this. So governments see burning fossil fuels in any form, transport, shipping, power generation, heating, industry, to name just a few, as not helpful. They also see fossil fuels as a weapon or direct threat that can be aimed against them and their people at any time. Just look at Russia. Also look at OPEC with a monopoly. Well, they now are starting to see the sun as the largest free fusion generator that sends us, free of charge, more energy than we need every single day. And did I mention it's free? They see clean green electricity in the form of solar and wind and tidal and geothermal and, yes, nuclear as growth industries that also make us much more energy self-reliant. We cannot become clean and green drilling for our own fossil fuel oil, but we could become clean and green, self-sufficient with wind, solar and tidal. January 1st, new rules requiring all car manufacturers to achieve at least 22% of new car sales, being EVs, came into force in the UK and countless other countries in Europe and around the world. That 22% is predetermined to grow year by year until it reaches 100% by 2035. So, people can keep buying new ICE cars for now for another 11 years and keep driving them for as long as they hold together mechanically, or as long as petrol and diesel is available, or the pollution they produce makes them such a pariah that they give in, whichever happens to affect them first. Is this forcing you into EVs? Well, actually, no. It's not that they want you to drive around in EVs. It's that they don't want and can't have you driving around in cars that emit poisonous, toxic, carcinogenic fumes that kill over 50,000 people in the UK prematurely. If you don't want EVs, it's really simple. Just find a non-polluting alternative and the governments around the world will shower you with more cash than you could possibly imagine. Until you do, EVs are here and they're the only way forward. Just live with it. Well, back to EV charging. There have been loads of new starters entering the field in a big way, thanks to huge cash investments. GridServe recently received $500 million. Apple Green recently tied up with Blackstone, which has $1 trillion money under investment. BMW Group, General Motors, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Stellantis and Mercedes-Benz Group have now leapt in with a claim to install 30,000 chargers, but by 2030. And the first of those, well, summer this year. Is that strange that Stellantis state there's no demand for EVs and GM all but stopped selling EVs, but both pour huge amounts of money into EV chargers? Well, meanwhile, Tesla have announced that they've quietly, without headline news items, installed over 12,000 chargers this last year. That's a total of 30 chargers a day. Well, at that rate, by 2030, Tesla will have installed over 80,000 additional chargers versus the new consortium's 30,000. And that assumes Tesla's installation rate does not increase at all before 2030. Is that likely? Oh, no. Well, BP announced new EV charging installations and even get a minister to attend. BP seems to be gearing up for what they will do once fossil fuel goes downhill rapidly, as they have forecast in their own 2023 report. Over in America, Ford can't sell enough EVs to make it worthwhile. They continue to lose money on every EV they do sell. It's quoted as more than $30,000 a vehicle, but rumoured now to be nearing $50,000. The dealers over in the US are turning away deliveries of new EVs as they're already full of unsold ones. So what do Ford do? They announce a price increase of between $2,000 and $10,000 per F-150 Lightning. While at the same time they play very heavily on their Made in America claim. We are America, we are the greatest, which unfortunately is not theirs to claim. The latest list shows Tesla hold the top 5 places. The S, the 3, the X, the Y, and now the Cybertruck are all at the top of the list. The best Ford F-150 Lightning gets is 38th in the list. And the ICE F-150 lags even worse behind at 61st, according to cars.com. Seems Made in America is not even on Ford's list. Have you got your Apple 15 Pro phone yet? If not, maybe hang on. Tesla's just launched a huge number of Starlink satellites. Well, nothing new there maybe, but these are new. These are Starlink direct-to-phone satellites, and that is news. Forget patchy mobile phone coverage, driving out of range of the towers. Satellite is the way forward, and Tesla's previous announcement of making their own smartphone seems to be one step closer. You know what? It even works on Mars. Well, I am on the waiting list. Well, still with Tesla, they celebrate making their 5 millionth EV. And that is some achievement for a new startup company taking on the world's largest auto giants. They made 495,000 and delivered 484 in the final quarter. Any guesses for 2024? Please leave your comments below. Oh, by the way, for comparison, Ford just announced it is second only to Tesla in the sale of EVs. Well, Tesla sold 1.81 million. So where did Ford come? Well, they sold nearly 61,000, according to Yahoo Finance reports. Yeah, that's for the entire year. GM delivered just 19,000 and had to recall some of them. Well, I thought the competition, the legacy motor industry, was all set to overtake Tesla by 2025. They've all claimed this many times. That leaves a little still to do in 2024, particularly as they seem to be shutting down factories and pausing the building of new ones. Well, it's going to be an absolutely mammoth year for Ford and GM and all the others in EV production. I certainly look forward to it. Well, thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe and click the notification bell so we can notify you next time we launch a video. And a massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. It is your support that enables us to go out and make these videos for you. So thank you very much for your contribution. I'm Dave.